say your names. We have Jane.
Hi, I'm Jane.
Tanya.
Tibor. Ben.
And Kat and Bob. And that is a little miracle of what that beautiful energy of focusing on your true nature does. Because good 45 minutes ago we were having everything set out there. Because Bob wasn't really in a position. And then things changed. And then few words Ben came early about non-duality, and it sparked him, it sparked the light in him, and he wanted to be there with us. So, you want to say something? No? Okay. Something. Okay.
As always.
Yeah, it's just enjoying the basking in the sun of pointing. And again, as usually, I was going to ask you guys before, but forgot. Who would like to give us an introduction? 20, 30 minutes, just the pointers, not talking about oneself, but on the non-duality, but from direct experience. Anyone?
I'm happy to have a go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know if it'll be 20 or 30 minutes, but I'm happy to have a go.
This way might be easier.
Well, what we're on about here is one without a second, not two, Advaita non-duality. So what it is I see that I am life itself. Nothing can be added to me or taken from me. And I am that presence within, or the I am, but even before the I am is named, that's what I am. And through the life that has been living me since I was very young, I was told that I was a label, and I'm not a label. I'm not the image I have about myself. I am pure intelligence energy. Or as it says in the book, I am that, Sat Chit Ananda, being, knowing, loving to be.
Sorry.
Thank God for that. There's been some wonderful pointers given to me for the last 40 years from beautiful Bob, and I've read a lot of literature, and but it's the direct experience, the proof's in the pot as far as I'm concerned, but not the smoking kind. I used to spend my life living in the story. I used to spend, or the life appeared as a story, allegedly, and identification with that image I have about myself, and that was the conditioning that was taught to me from a young child, that I was Jane, that I was, from a family of four, that I was a good girl sometimes, a bad girl other times, and then of course I grew up in the Catholic tradition. I was definitely a bad girl in that one. And and so I believed all these stories that people told about me. I believed that I was my conditioning. I believed that I was a story. I believed that I was a separate entity. I believed I was an individual, And I was always in collision with something or somebody, There was always conflict, and then I used to come and see Bob on a Monday morning, and we used to read the chapter on awareness. This was in the 1990s by Krishnamurti, and this happens to be one of my favourite pointers. He talks about the tree, and the tree really is there, but then you have a response to the tree. Well, that's the same as what happens in my mind, in the mind, not my mind, or there is no mind, in memory rather, is that there's this me that lives in the past or the future, and it's only a memory, and I identify with a memory, and then I have a response to the memory. And that causes conflict, you know, because when I'm in the past and identifying with a memory and it creates dis-ease within me, well, then I'm wrong, you know, because I'm not with what is right now. I am resisting what is. And, you know, that's the absolute epitome of living right here, right now, is just going with the flow, accepting what is, watching what happens. I love that song, Watch What Happens, a great jazz tune, that one. Because that's how I feel my life is now. Watch what happens. Because it's just incredible seeing life unfold, seeing how, you know, a thought arises and then the action is taken. A thought arises and there's responding. There's being alert and aware of everything around me, and you know, responding appropriately. And then it's incredible. The more you notice, the more alert and aware you are. How everything is provided. Everything is in front of you. You know. And sometimes I don't even think something, and then something's provided for me, and I think, wow, you know, thank you. So I find my life saying thank you. You know, I find that there's a lot of gratitude, there's a lot of thanking going on lately, and you know, and I believe that's because the truth ate away the lie. The truth ate away the lie, and yeah, thank goodness for that. And it's for people like Bob and Kat and Paul Hederman and Krishnamurti, all the saints and sages and teachers all over the years. They were pointing, you know, but it was Bob that awoke me to what they were saying, what they were pointing to, which is the truth of my own being. So I'm here today because I'm very grateful, and that's about all I've got.
Yeah, that was beautiful, but that was just 10 minutes. Anyone else? Ben, would you like to?
Yeah, I said I don't think I could make 40.
Give us, yeah, by all means, include everything. Yes.
Just for an alternative viewpoint, because my background is in the Buddhist tradition, and my awakening characteristics were from Dzogchen, which to some people is a dirty word. I've got no problem with that. There's a different characteristic in those teachings, in the fact that they don't talk about no mind, because they talk about the fact that everything is mind. And the reason they use that characteristic is that all experience, everything that you seem to experience or perceive or sense, actually occurs in mind. So we talk about my mind and my body, but the experiences that occur are occurring in mind. The part that we get wrong is labelling it as my mind. So if you look at mind and you try and find mind, where it comes from, where it stays, where it goes, it ends up being unfindable. So that shows that the mind that we think where our experience occurs is just ultimately an empty, spacious characteristic. The difference is that this mind is not just like space, just completely empty, but it's also aware, it's cognizant, it has an infusion of knowing. So it knows the experiences, which is why we have the characteristic of being able to perceive, or be aware, but it's nonetheless not findable. So it's a spacious awareness, a non-dual characteristic of spacious awareness. And in the same light as that, the other quality is the fact of energy. So the three qualities of space, awareness and energy are non-dual characteristics of this one indescribable, whatever you call it, because you can't call it anything. So in the Dzogchen tradition, they'll call it bodhicitta, right, which is awakened mind, because if everything is mind and it becomes awakened to itself, then you call it awakened mind, bodhicitta, but you could call it anything. Yeah. You can call it Bob if you want. That's not a problem, because Bob is an example of an awakened mind, as indeed we all are, whether we know it or not. So that's just a slightly different perspective, to recognise that you can go through looking at your own mind, trying to actually understand its own nature, and what you will eventually come with is the clear understanding of a non-dual perspective.
Beautiful. Thibaut, would you like to continue? We need to have 15
Well, it's just the only difficulty I have is when I'm separate from what is, and so, and like Jane said too, it's like we've been, learnt these things about who we think we are, and as you explore and question that through experience, you see that you are not your body, you are not the perceived self. However, it all is how do I put it? I've lost it now, but that's all right. It'll come. Yeah, I guess. Well, if I just stay in awareness, it all comes anyway. Yeah. It's when I start thinking, like the mind here at the moment was, oh wow, like I got this thing about the mind wanted to get in there and say, oh, well, you don't know this stuff or whatever. So that was then, like I started to question again. It was the questioning was, well, okay, well, what thinks I don't know what is? What is this in there that is, again, like now, it's like, well, the thinking comes in, and that's the only place there's the problem.
That's right.
If I pause and see what is in the awareness, there is no problem.
Beautiful.
If I have to say anything or something comes up and I need to say it, it'll come, but sometimes nothing comes. But one of my favourite Bob pointers is what's wrong with right now if you don't think about it. That's just such a helpful thing in any circumstance.
Lifeline.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've found that recently I've been going through this really difficult person identification, and it's the more I can just sit back and observe that is what's causing me the issues, is like what you were saying, Jayton, about believing all these labels that have been either put on me or I've put on myself. That's where any difficulties lie. Otherwise, it's just a happening. The body does what it needs to do. And the most difficult times I have is when I try. If I give up the trying and wanting anything to be any different than what is, you can guarantee difficulties, you know. But as soon as you accept that this is what it is at the moment, it will change. Whatever difficulty you may perceive, again, is a thought. But it all changes, it all goes, it all happens in this, and it's all okay. Fundamentally, it's all okay, and what needs to be just is. And that acceptance of that makes it okay.
And also, you know, it's such a habit identifying with that person, with that image you have about yourself. And as Bob always said, person comes from the Greek persona, which is the image. And the image can only live in the memory, the past or the future. So, you know, as soon as you see that, you go, oh, there it is. And, you know, in the other tradition that I've been involved in for many years in 12-step groups, it's the you know, the taking back of the will, you know. And so when you realise there's only one, there's no one to have a will. You know, it's just a habit. It's a habit. So when you see that habit arise of starting to control or starting to try, as you say, it's just an old habit. And you know, not that there's anyone to let go, but as soon as there is a letting go or a seeing of that pattern, you just go, oh, foiled again, you know.
Yeah.
And you're back in that, well, not that you ever left that presence, you are awareness itself, or, you know, that's how I see it anyway. So you can never leave that awareness, you are that awareness.
When you refocus back to that awareness itself, which is what you're talking about, how it pops up, which, yeah, I totally agree with these habits. But when you just remember, which is that recognition, when you remember your awareness, then the habit dissolves.
That's it.
Because it's no longer,
That's it.
it's not visible at all anymore, because all you're aware of is awareness.
No, that's right.
And the thing about this awareness is, like you've just been pointing out several times now, there's no identity. Absolutely no identity. And therefore, you're free. You're free from every possibility that anyone could ever say about you, because you're not any of it.
Freedom's always been important to me.
Correct. And that's ultimately the whole point of these kind of pointing outs and discussions, because there is an appearance of a plethora of suffering that apparent beings are going through and people have. And if you can recognise that freedom, then there comes that sense of real peace, a deep, unleaving peace. It just remains, because there's nothing there to take it away from you, because you're just resting in this
That's right.
identityless state,
Identity.
where desire dissolves as well. You don't have desires per se anymore, because there's nothing to desire apart from what you already are.
And who would desire it?
Who would desire it? Exactly. And these are difficult things for some people to get hold of, but the point is there's nothing to get hold of. But any kind of wanting to have and any type of resistance to stops it from coming through. It's so simple, it's so hard.
I know they say there's no practice, but you know, and there's no process. But you know, I just feel that, you know, I used to ring Bob all the time when I first got into this stuff. I used to come round. I used to get stuck on little points, you know, and he'd just patiently and selflessly point, and you know, and so then all of a sudden I stopped ringing. I stopped asking questions, and you know, he'd told me many times that you know, when the questions stop, that look forward to that. And so all of a sudden there weren't any. You know, there were no more questions, because I don't know, the truth ate away the lie, you know, and I think there's an attraction to abiding in that presence, or not that you can't ever not abide in that presence, but it's apparent that you're not through those old patterns. But you know, you become more attracted to that than the conflict, you know, or the resistance. You become more attracted to that, and that is, and you know, and it's just, I don't know, it's just a joy. And Bob used to say, be warm towards it, give it a wink and a nudge. There's a lot of winking and nudging going on these days, I can tell you.
Yeah, it seemingly it's the self, or what you're not, is the drama. It's so attracted to the drama, because that's what it is.
That's the old habit.
Like if you drop if you can see it and the drama drops, there's an underlying, you know, steadiness to it. Not necessarily even good or bad, but just like an underlying steadiness that's in many ways is a lot more solid than, if you could call it that, but it's not going on all the time.
And that lovely pointer, I think it's Shakespeare, is it? Nothing's neither good or bad, but thinking makes it so. I love that one. That's Shakespeare, Bob? Yeah, I love that one. That's an awesome one. So I'm speaking Bob's words, but I'm also feeling them, if you know what I mean. You know, I'm knowing them. I'm knowing them, you know. And so a lot of people said you'd be speaking Bob's words. Well, thank God for that. Because I'm actually knowing them as well.
It won't be very long before you realise that Bob's words are everybody's words.
That's right. They are. I realise that now. Yeah, they are everybody's words. And as I said, the saints say as, teachers, prophets, all through the ages. I couldn't see what they were saying till I met you, though, Bob. It was you that helped me see what the hell they were talking about. So I appreciate that. And I love you.
Well, that's what it comes back to. There is only love.
That is right.
Yeah.
There's only love. That's it. Yes. So I had a beautiful thing on the. You guys take it for a minute, but I just want to look something up that I.
And
Use this one.
yes, it really looks so much better. Tanya, would you like to add something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was really enjoying this bouncing off each other. So good. Yeah, it's so good, so good. Yeah, one of my favourite pointers is you won't find the answer in the mind.
That's it.
And there is no mind. There's no one to look. And but words, when the so-called thoughts come, which are really just vibrations in space, which have no substantial nature of their own, you realise you're not creating, you're listening. You're listening those thoughts. You're not thinking them. You're actually, if you're paying attention, you're listening.
Exactly.
You're listening. So you don't have to listen. You can ignore those words. And this is my go-to is, if it involves words, ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pointers are magnificent, and you do need a level of understanding to grasp it. But then, when you have it, it's no longer necessary to carry any of that stuff. Drop it. Drop it all. Well, words, words, so if you like to think of a God who is, all-knowing, all-powerful, omniscient, why the heck would God need words?
Well, speaking of words, here's some more. When you see everything as it is, this is Nisargadatta. When you see everything as it is, you will also see yourself as you are. It is like cleansing the mirror. The same mirror that shows you the world as it is will also show you your own face. The thought I am is the polishing cloth. Use it, Nisargadatta. And this person says, this is what came to me earlier in the city, the nostalgia of memory and the refusal to accept those I've known to be anything other than the actuality, that they actually are. This locks in the thought of me as real and the thought of the other as real. Doesn't allow for the immediate of the encounter and to follow the natural order of love. Trust it. It's all led me here to trust what I am. That's Nisargadatta.
Okay, since we are with the reading, I can include our online community. And whoops, just keep it on. Okay, maybe that's safer. Safer than flipping the phone over. Thank you. And we have 26 watching with us right now. Thank you and welcome everyone. And Caroline says, beautifully said, Jane. Thank you and love to everyone. And Salila says, hey there, beloved. And Maggie says, hello everyone. Hi Jane. This is from David here. And hi Bob and Kat, and hi. Okay, I'll skip the. And Tazi is with us. Hi Bob and all. And Christopher sending love to Bob and everyone. And Bill, Bob, I'm aware of the joy and love of your common heart seeing you and Kat and your cozy gathering today. And Ken says, great Jane, nice and simple, the way Bob showed us for many years. And Tazi, conceptualizing about non-conceptual awareness is the ultimate contradiction. Yeah, how can the absence of concept be conceptualized? Thank God nobody does it. It's just what's happening. And thank you, Tazi. Christopher says, great comment, Bradley, and it becomes dead energy when you live in non-dual paradigm. Non-duality and duality are not separate, and that's where life is enjoyed and all its inclusivity. Yes, and he also says, thanks so much, Bob, for everything you have brought to us all. The sense of presence has never left me since I went to your groups years ago. And Salila says, it is all happening in spacious, boundless awareness, which is who you are. Appreciating the simplicity in the sharings this morning. Love you, Bob. And Ariel says, a small aha moment earlier today, a further unfolding of being with what is. Love to you all and appreciation for having Bobcat and you lot in my life. And Kathy sends love to all. And Christopher, because God is all inclusive and words have their own beauty like everything, words are an expression of creative energy and power like everything else. Absolutely. And Salila says, like what Ramana said, use concept to remove concept, then throw both away. And of course, not that anyone is doing it. That's also what's happening. Thank you, Salila. And Christopher says, non-duality is not a negation of life and possibility. That is non-duality 101, 101, and it is dead. Yeah, and Jacinta, hi to you all. And Catherine, love to you all from SA, from Catherine and James. And David, how to talk about it without conceptualization. Yeah, luckily.
Thank you for that, David.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't think there is any judgment in anything that is happening unless, someone believes that there is a doer who should do or could do anything else that what's happening. But actually, I remember Tazi inspired me last week when I was affirming that it's actually really helpful to bring what works. And he said that it was also helpful to debunk the wrong concepts. And I said, absolutely, 100%. And that's not what we are not doing. This is also happening. Debunking the concepts of the belief systems, the identification as a body, the identification as a mind. If anyone believes that they are an object in consciousness, then obviously this is something to bring forward and show. That it is impossible, even from the logical standpoint, which is the last perspective that we really advocate for, but it might be helpful at times. And I love what Tanya highlighted. We actually had it on our Zoom, and if anyone is up for a Zoom connection, feel free to check SailorBobAdamson.com and join us. And there are Zooms on different times and hours. We were talking about that words or that mind, the perspective of the conceptualization, the perspective of the grasping, understanding, putting into, like just trying to objectify what is beyond objectification as a wisdom of the mind or thinking, versus the instinctual knowing, the natural knowing that is undeniable, the knowing of existence which can't be denied, can't be stopped. I mean, of course you can deny it, but you can't really honestly stop it to even be in a position of denying, because then because you are. So this we sometimes, after Bob, of course, I love Bob's vocabulary. And I loved your vocabulary too. All vocabularies are just a beautiful expression, as someone just said, a beautiful expression of that absolute. But because Bob's vocabulary is so effective for those who are hanging around here, whether you call it mind, or you call it no mind, or you call it God, or you call it absolute, or you call it cognizing emptiness, or Satchitananda, it is this one and the same, or the core. Bob sometimes says the core, or the essence, or the heart, not the physical heart, but the heart essence, the knowing that doesn't have words, just what Tanya was saying, you know, that knowing does not have words. If there is a language involved, don't bother. That's already straying further away from the truth. But that's only on the seeking path, because once you realize that there is no one to understand conceptually, non-conceptually, or in any other way, then expression just flows and it's not yours. It's just, you know, life. Yeah, life expresses as music. Life expresses as a photography. Life expresses as a dance, and there is no one doing any of it. Unless there is a belief that there is someone there, someone in charge, someone in control who does all that thing, then of course the byproduct of that belief is the suffering. It's a limitation. It's a sense, oh, I can do this, but I can't do that. And I'm better than this, and I'm worse than that. And then all the conundrum with the comparison. What was it? Comparison, partiality, and what was it?
No preference, no partiality, no comparison.
There you go. Yeah. So that is yeah. It comes to, instead of no preference, no partiality, no comparison, sitting in the mind, and there is just preference, just comparison, and just partiality. Yes, and that's suffering, because being the absolute, if you consider yourself anything less than the totality, there is a sense of limitation, there is a sense of incompleteness, the sense of being somehow compromised, void, less than. And that's unnecessary, because looking for that self which is in charge, which is in control, and being unable to find it, and then checking what is looking or who is looking, and not even being able to find that which is looking. The clear and obvious is that there is just looking, just seeing. And the idea that there is someone looking for something is just an idea appearing in that field of seeing, just like any thought appearing in the field of knowing. And this is when, oh God.
Yeah, how much?
That was perfection.
Yeah,
That was
well,
beautiful.
that's-
That was
that's
just
so
flowed. That was beautiful. So
They
good.
said just then at the finish of your talk, what shit.
Smile to the camera a little bit. Let the guys who are with us see the cheeky Aussie sailor. Cheeky Aussie sailor.
But there's this old parable or something, you know, it's like you need the boat to get you across the water.
Yes.
You need it, right? To get to the other side, you're not going to carry the boat, if you had any sense, on your head all the way to the station or wherever. You put the boat down.
Yep.
You're light now, you go, you know, you don't need it.
Gorgeous.
Lightness.
Yeah.
The water.
Got in the water here on your here.
I really like, there was another one about a boat that came up the other day in the Zoom meetings that Yvonne gave in her spiel, and it's a great one. And there's this fellow floating around on a lovely lake, having a lovely daydream, snoozing his boat. Yeah, he's floating, and then all of a sudden, bang, this other boat bumps into him. He's really pissed off. He's having a great little nap. And he looks at the other boat and he realises it's empty. Oh, shit, where did all that anger go? Who am I going to be angry at? There's nobody there to be angry at. And all that, you know, reacting drops away. And then, you know, if you're looking from the bird's eye view, or that, you realise actually both boats are empty. Right?
Yeah.
Who's there to be pissed off? Who's here to be pissed off at?
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the little
Yeah.
stories that Bob often tells us on the... Not that often, though. Lately there was less of those stories. But yes, that's definitely one of the Bob stories that Yvonne brought in the...
See, that's my ignorance. Because
Oh, no, it's not...
not familiar with all of this stuff.
As Bob said, it's not his. It doesn't belong to anyone. And it's an old Zen story that's been there for thousands of years. Yes, but it...
all are old.
Yes. Yeah. Nothing new, and that's beautiful, because that means, and that is often also what Bob starts the spiel from. That means that no one needs to learn anything. No one needs to get anything. Add to oneself. There is nothing missing right at this moment. You have everything you ever needed. You are everything. So there is nothing that, people come and they think that, oh, I'll read another book, I learned something, I will get something, I will know more than I know today. And that adding to the knowledge will bring me closer to the state of bliss. That's all bogus. That's rubbish. It is a natural state, as in nature, is present, fully present right now. And Mahavekya calls it the awareness of presence, or I am that, or I know that I am. That I am, I know. This is the knowing that I am. And there is no possible not to know that I am, whether it is spoken in words or whether it is just that natural heart knowing that I am, knowing of existence. Translated to words, it become I am, and that's already 2 words. But what is translated? That sense of presence, knowing that I am. It's always and ever present. It's just that when the mind enters the picture, there's no such thing as mind. It's just, everything is mind. Yeah, everything is mind as a pure potentiality. Everything is mind. But when the conceptualization or the thinking enters the picture and it starts describing it in words, well, then we are, missing the forest, looking for the trees, focusing on the trees. And I see if there's anyone there. John David says, love ya, Bob and Kat. Hi, John. Yes, so it is really much simpler. It's a natural state. It's already forever present. There is no one who is not already fully that or fully aware that they are. That you are, that you are. It's just that when the attention is seduced to the thinking, when it is pulled out of that luminous radiance of present awareness, and it is trapped in the entertainment of a drama, of the current drama, of the past, of the future, of whatever is not happening presently, but is so attractive and so colorful and so multidimensional, the daydream, just like the night dream, any dream, that is when that luminous radiance of aliveness, the miracle of aliveness, is completely overlooked and ignored. And that's when the natural state, even though it is there all the time, is somehow completely missed out. Because the mind, what is it? It's a software which basically converts direct singular experiencing into the duality of subject-object. So that piece of software translating singular happening into me and the other, into me and the world, it cannot possibly objectify that natural state, that awareness of presence. For the mind, it is nothing. Nothing. The aliveness, the miracle of existence is nothing. But Bob readily brings it up and it says, okay, that is a translation. It really is not a thing. That's correct. It's no thing. But that's the no thing with the potentiality or capacity to experience and express as everything. So it's not nothing. It's no thing with the incredible potential to dance, vibrate, pattern, shape and form and show up as absolutely everything.
And I need to get through to go to the loo.
Oh, all right.
Sorry.
Just as well, this one slides.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So what came to me is that there is no momentum in now. Like momentum, there's no momentum in now. Thinking and time has to be introduced, which is where we get, like the runaway mind or anything like that. So, and that's, once you're in that momentum, it's very hard to stop. It's like the snowball down the mountain. It gets bigger and bigger, and you've gone from no problem now to something that's become, quite a big unstoppable thing that just
Juggernaut.
pushes everything out of the way, and it's that inherent, I guess, separation from or that inherent self that causes all our conflict personally, then in society and in countries, just that because we feel separate from each other and what is, and whereas in nature there's still happening and doing, and sure that animals kill other animals, but it's not premeditated. It happens in the moment. It's just the momentum of the mind.
Hunger.
Well, hunger, but it's now. I mean, they generally don't kill when they're not hungry. I'm not an expert, but it's about that momentum.
But it's like it's all love, too. Like
Life lives on life.
yeah. But it all comes back to loving to be.
Yes. Yes.
All of it. And that, slight preference for existing.
Yes, and that includes the human condition of constant desire, aversion. Yeah.
Yeah, when you don't mind not existing, then you're free.
Okay.
Because the human condition is exactly that. It's wanting to exist. But if you're actually loving to be, you're quite happy not to be at all.
You don't think about it.
Because you don't think about it.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
You dissolve into space, you come out of space. Both are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, natural instinct for natural self-preservation instinct is part of the functioning, and that is an expression in a way of loving to be. That the heart will beat and everything works as it is. But the moment you put it in words, you already missed it. You're already too far away from the natural functioning. So that's even the human condition, the conceptualization, the war to get more, because no matter how many millions or how many possessions I have, is never enough, because this can happen and that can happen and the crisis can hit, and all that spinning stories which cause a lot of suffering to the recipient and to everyone else around, to the whole environment. That is also a creative power of the universe expressing as the human condition. And if not for that suffering, there would be no urge for looking for freedom. And if not for that expression of the duality, there would be no understanding of the underlying non-dual natural state, because everything in the appearance can only be known from its opposite. So even in the darkest of darknesses, there is an intelligence underlying the appearance. Without the darkness, there is no light. Beauty. Oops. There you go.
Thank you.
The wheel is caught on one of the wires, the back
Not
wheel.
this one though.
I'm just worried about the back wheel of Kat's chair. It's just
Okay.
I didn't know if it's going to make anything
Got it.
important.
No, nothing.
Let me see if our online community has something.
Actually, I have got something. Yeah, I was just, when Kat was talking so beautifully about how that split occurs, it brought me back to that chapter on awareness, the tree and the response to the tree, the me and the response to the me. So that's the habit. And it's the nature of the mind to work in the pairs of opposites. So pleasure, pain, happy, sad, me, the other. That's duality. That's how it is, and it's an incredible instrument when it's just functioning. But when it hooks you in and causes conflict and disease, therein lies the problem. That's the split, and and. The majority of people's lives are spent in that. They have no idea that there's another way. And I love that analogy of the backpack going up the hill. And it's like you've got this backpack full of old habits and old conflicts with this, that, and the other person, or this, that, and the other thing, or and then someone points, you know, there is another way. You don't have to live in that dis-ease and conflict, you know. And then the rocks in the backpack become less and less, and all of a sudden you're walking up the hill, you're just flying up that hill, you know. And I love that. That's a great pointer, you know, that and it's actually happened, you know, here. So it's a beautiful thing.
I really like that analogy of the backpack. And thinking, you know, why would you not empty the backpack? So I think that there is and it comes back to loving to be, you know, that probably the doubt comes in the mind, oh, I can't get rid of that rock because I may need it in the future. So I'm going to hang on to that rock. And that rock goes with that. And if I lose that rock, I might need that rock. So I hang on to that rock. And so that's two rocks, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is, again, this thought about the future. And exactly, rather than, what is necessary right now? Well, none of it, actually.
Yeah, and that's where what's wrong with right now,
if you
I think
about it,
comes in
yeah,
every time. It's just brilliant. It's like, bang, it's all done.
Yeah. But, you know, majority of people would get a bigger backpack and put more rocks in it. Wouldn't they? Yeah. Get a bigger backpack. And then they would go, oh, the backpack's not doing its job anymore. So, you know, then it's luggage on wheels, and then it's a whole house of servants and, you know, a carriage, and you can just go on and on.
And sometimes your concepts do feel as solid as a rock, don't they?
Especially the self-concept, you know. Me, they don't love me enough, or they treated me wrongly, or they don't respect me enough, or they don't give me enough recognition, or they and me, you know, that is the base of, that is the whole backpack, really. The rocks inside are just supporting the whole.
Just to pick up on that one that you said there, and the other statement you made earlier about debunking wrong concepts. Going into a near-nihilistic characteristic of where you just think there's no one there that I can hurt, therefore I can treat you like whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's not what it's about.
No, that's another thought, not to be believed.
Not to be believed. Non-duality two-step.
Correct. Because all of a sudden there's this me that says you're not there.
Yes.
And that's where the fallacy comes in.
That's right.
And that's where solipsism comes in, where it says everything's in my mind. You're nothing but an appearance in my mind. Yeah. But that's because all of a sudden I've got my mind. Right? If I don't have a my, there's no mind of my that can be you and appearing in it. So those are the difficulties of that nihilism and solipsism thing.
And they have to be believed, really, to be acted upon. Again, what Bob often says about the belief, unquestioned acceptance of a bullshit, without checking it, without verifying it, without doing the due diligence of investigation.
Who's it happening to?
Yeah, that's one of the ways of investigating. Did you want to say something? No? I have a couple of comments here to include. And we have Dale Allison says, good morning, love to Bob and all. And David says, I mean, we could all sit in blissful silence, meditating, quote unquote, for an hour and a half. Absolutely. I mean, we had another thing like that coming up on Zoom, and I was sharing with people what Bob did a few times in those meetings. He just wrapped it up and said, okay, you all go home now. Go home and sit in the meditation wherever you want to sit. If you don't have any questions, if you don't want to interact, if you don't want to do the non-dual investigation, just go home. Because they are meditations groups. So if anyone is drawn to, if life through anybody is drawn to go and sit and meditate in a group, well, that's what life does. Nothing wrong with that. But the way this group investigation is conducted here, and that's its beauty. A lot of groups, similar groups, start from meditation instead of a spiel. So you sit in the meditation, you may have guided meditation, you may quieten the mind beautifully, and then there is no questions. And then the meeting is over and you go home, and there is no further step ahead in investigation. Nothing has been looked through. Because through the period of a meeting, mind got quiet, the questions didn't arise, they didn't get debunked or demystified or investigated. And then, yes, I know people have been sitting with 3 different Zen Sanghas, 20, 30, 40 years.
My goodness.
And being in a state way worse than in the beginning of the search. Because as the life is slipping by, the sense of inadequacy, the sense of, if there is still the self that didn't achieve and it takes so long and I'm doing it wrong and I'm meditating for many hours, and there is never a real guidance to investigate.
That's right, as Bob said, always meditate on the meditator.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I have to read something because this is really poignant.
As long as it's Bob's.
It's Krishnamurti. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because, make it quick because we don't want
Okay.
to
Real meditation is the highest form of intelligence. It is not a matter of sitting cross-legged in a corner with your eyes shut or standing on your head or whatever it is you do. To meditate is to be completely aware as you are walking, as you are riding in the bus, as you are working in your office or in your kitchen, completely aware of words you use, the gestures you make, the manner of your talk, the way you eat, and how you push people around. To be choicelessly aware of everything about you and within yourself is meditation.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry,
it.
I just had to
Yeah.
read that. It was so poignant.
Yeah.
It was so poignant to what was being said.
Yeah. And there's nothing to fear.
No.
There's nothing to fear in having a discussion and talking. It's just saying it's, not when the words appear and wherever they are or whatever, it's, you don't have to give them any energy of belief. It's if you're quite comfortably resting in that presence awareness, then God, do anything. The sky's the limit. Bob.
Nothing either good or bad.
Yeah.
Good thinking.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing to fear. So we're all essentially in meditation right now, right?
Exactly.
Okay. It's just this apparent phenomena of discussion, which is all part of the game and going on. So there's no need to listen to the mind when it comes and says, "Oh, but you're all talking about concepts, therefore you contradict each other." Or you're contradicting what you're saying. That's what the big rock in the mind, that one, right? Oh, no, big rock. Well, no, actually, well, just not if I don't carry it around with me and drop it. It's not gonna. That's it.
We're just playing a game of breaking rocks.
Yeah, I think so.
We're working on the chain game.
Yeah, well, that's it, because and as you break the rocks up, they become smaller rocks and eventually becomes, smaller and smaller, and then it's sand, and then it's dust, and then it blows away, and you're back to nothing.
Beautiful.
Nothing ever left nothing.
That's it.
Bob wanted to say something. You want to say something?
I was just going to say that there's space.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all space, yes. Yeah, lovely. And I have a couple of comments here, and David says, "Oof, that joke of meditation was in response to talking about it, lost without context." No, it was perfect. Actually, I got the joke totally, and it just came up because, as I mentioned, we do Zoom meetings as well, and things do come up. Beautiful, interesting conversations come up, and that idea came up to maybe sit in silence. And it's not a bad idea. It's just an idea. Every idea is just an idea, and who knows? Maybe it happens sometimes, or maybe it won't. But what is beautiful about Bob's meeting in general is that it is actually, there is an encouragement to bring all the buts and ifs so they can be seen in the light, because they mainly like a shadowy, what was it, darling? Shadowy, from Raibu Gita's figures on the screen or something. All those things are very, very, very unreal, very fleeting, smoke and mirror type of things. And bringing them to light actually just disperse them beautifully, like, smashing the rocks.
And I love that. I love how Bob has always drawn from so many different if you like, seers, sages, prophets, other non-dual teachers, and acknowledge, and shared from them, because then you see the truth in everything, and it demystifies a lot of those pointers that you were trying to grasp, It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing that Bob has always drawn from so many other teachers, and that he encourages us to speak. I mean, how many non-dual meetings encourages everybody in the meeting to speak? I mean, I just find that amazing, really. Yeah, I just that's what I love about it. That's what I love about it, because everyone wants to be heard. I'm sorry, but everyone does.
Not really. No, a lot of people actually do like.
Well, I haven't met anyone that doesn't want to be heard in some way. I've never met one.
On the meetings, about 60% don't want to speak. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe along the way they will.
They want to be heard, though.
Maybe not in public.
Not in a public space, but some way in their life they want to be heard. Yeah.
It's life expressing life.
It's life expressing life.
Yeah.
And we have a comment here from Nicholas. Stop talking and thinking, and there is nothing you're not able to know. From Sin Sin Ming, and we do appreciate that as well. And again, a little disclaimer: if there is anyone who can start or stop anything, just a disclaimer, because this is a beautiful pointer, and we do love and appreciate that pointer. Thank you. And David says, when you sit in silence with others on this path, non-path, there is definite energy in the room, and I'm getting it right now. Yeah, that's true. See, when the speaking happens, silence is untouched. Nothing can happen to silence when there is a sound. Nothing can happen to space. Space is also untouched. And that's beautiful. And yes, natural silence is to recognize and to actually just even acknowledge that one in the heart. Then speaking's not a problem.
And there's always space between the words, because you can't actually have speaking constantly anyway, because there must be a pause, and there's the silence in between the words as well.
And also that what Jane was highlighting, it is beautiful that Bob does encourage people to see how life is expressing through them, because it is always that one life speaking. And this is what I mentioned also. Other schools are encouraging poetry, like Aurobindo was producing poets, and Sri Chimno was producing musicians. It is like if in your line of expression there is a resonation with Bob and Bob's style, you may or may not be drawn to expressing it in the way it is natural for you. Then it might be music, or it might be silence, or it might be a book writing, or it might be speaking on the meeting. But it takes, especially public speaking is one of the most popular and overrated fears, because it has a survival element. If I get rejected, I will get exiled and I will get eaten by wild creatures. So it is a it's a primal fear of rejection that actually existed and allowed our great ancestors to survive. So yes, naturally, it takes a little bit of uneasiness to put yourself out there, exposed to rejection, exposed to bullying, to negative commentary. It does take either complete transcendence of the attachment to separate self, or it takes a great courage, if that is how life is expressing, as that energy of courage. And even creating that safe space, of course, it will go out on YouTube and there is no safe space there. There's a lot of people who are invisible and under the nicknames who are not subscribing to the same rule of having that safe, nourishing space in which anyone is invited to see how life is expressing through them. And that includes that includes anything and anyone. That includes people who are fanatical about some or the other conspiracy theory. That is still the same life expressing through them, through the filters and through the conditioning of that transmitter receiver. If that is, if you wear the red glasses, everything looks red. If you have the brain conditioned to pick up on any conspiracy, that's how life is going to be speaking up. And still recognizing that this is the same life, the respecting, loving curiosity around that will still, will still be present. And isn't it fascinating how the life expresses through those with or those without clarity? Because the clarity, of course, it can be related to something or the other. You will have more clarity about epidemiology. She will have more clarity about jazz music, and anyone will have more clarity on a topic. But clarity in general, as the clarity as a limited obscuration to the acknowledgement of the fact of our own existence. Because majority of people take it for granted, never give it a thought, and it isn't about giving it a thought. But it is about giving it, as Jenny was saying, giving it a nudge, a wink, and a hug.
Be warm towards it.
Yeah, towards that incredible miracle of being animated, of being alive, of having that seeing happening, of having the movement in the body happening. That cannot be conceptualized or acknowledged as, well, it can, you can put it, oh, I'm grateful that I have both eyes. Yes, sure. But really having that core acknowledgement of the miracle of existence, that's a rare thing. And that's the only thing worthy to start from, because without it, nothing else is.
That's right.
Exactly. And Salila says, oh, here, we have a few more. Okay, I'll get into it. David says, Salila first, you can do nothing wrong. There is no you. This is all about no good or bad, no meditation or meditator. No one there to be anything, just a natural, effortless state of beingness. Beautifully said. And love you, Bob and Kat. We love you too. And such a freedom to see I never did anything. Absolutely. Never. There is no space in the recognition. There is one life, lifing, beating your heart, growing your hair, giving you thoughts. Never any space for the wrongdoing. Because if the wrongdoing, so-called judgment of a wrongdoing happened, life brought it up. And even the action is the life that brought it up. And you are that life, of course. But yes, as a person, as the imagined self, never did a thing. And David says, I am a musician, and music comes out of the silence. Absolutely. Everything comes out of the silence. Everything comes out of that space, of that cognizing emptiness. Beautiful. And Salila says, it all comes out, it all comes out of silence. It is one life expressing itself, yes. And David says, it never occurred to me to ask, who am I, before I met Bob?
That's right.
Yeah. And Jay says, good morning. Bob looks comfortable. You comfortable, my darling? Very comfortable. That's wonderful. And that's it for the online contribution. So.
Yeah, it's so obvious in the moment that it's all energetic. It's like no two points are ever the same, and my viewpoint is only that, but that is coming through multiple, viewpoints. But it's all happening in the one space.
Yeah.
It's like the movement of everybody here is never ever going to be the same. Everything is just unfolding, and in that moment, it's really, when in the presence, it's so clear that it's just unfolding.
Just unfolding.
The dream is, I was looking at, I was doing an editing job of a video just recently, and I was looking back at it, and I was looking at it there in front of me on the screen, and that was just playing out, and I was so in that moment. But then I pull back, and that was just the thing for a little. That energy created that for a while, and then it's gone. It's never to be repeated ever again. So it's a miracle in space, or whatever you want to call it. But it's all this energy bubbling in its myriad of ways.
Yeah, it's interesting. Whoever it was that said, the one that said he was a musician, David, was it? Yes. And the music just comes out of, well, you know, I find that when someone comes up to me after I sing and says, oh, that was fantastic, you're a really good singer and blah, 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 I think, who are they talking about, you know? It's just because it just comes and it's there, and then it's sort of sucked back into the nothingness, you know what I mean? And so there's no one that does it, it's just what is. And so, you know, it's lovely that people like it, you know, but and they go on, and I think, what are they talking, who are they talking about, you know? Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, once you see it, you know?
Beautiful, that, you know, that realization that you can't really take credit for anything that happens is such freedom, is incredible. Like, you know, you've done nothing, like Salila was saying, nothing ever. That means that you've done nothing wrong, and that means that anything that happens is happening through any available channel, like you were saying. One life, looking through the multitude of eyes of the birds, eyes of the whales, eyes of the camera. Like I used that example once. Someone liked it. Bob and I, we used to work on the ships, and you will have the security safety camera in the engine room. You want to know what's going on in the thrusters, and all those cameras are just at different points of perception for that one life, that one observer, that one observing. So whether you have 60 cameras on different compartments of the ship, or you have 8 billion little cameras in humans, and infinite number of other creatures having that point, the point in consciousness through which the consciousness expresses experiences. And again, it boils down to that oneness that Bob beautifully put as one essence, appearing, experiencing, and expressing as everything.
Yes.
And we know it from the sense of the vibrational energy, the vibrational energy of the thought, of the feeling, of the matter, of the sound, of the X-ray, of everything. And I think there is another here. Christopher says, totally, the whole universe is the Om vibration, reflected through a billion variations of itself. It is not separate from anything. It is both the substratum and the music. Beautifully put.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Well said.
I remember the first time Kat made it clear that you know, you've never done anything wrong.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wow, that's
big.
That's like humongous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course, because there's no one there.
Yeah.
But equally, just the same, the other end of the stick is you've never done anything right.
Yes. Yes.
Wow, that's just as releasing.
Yeah.
No requirement ever to perform, to do anything right. And of course I think about my offspring. I can't take any of the credit or the blame.
Yes.
Magnificent. Off the hook. Yay! But how fabulous. How fabulous. You've never done anything wrong. You've also never done anything right. So just be.
It's that beautiful Rumi song that Kavasha sings, you know, beyond all ideas of right doing, beyond ideas of wrongdoing, there's a field, a beautiful field, I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that song. Yeah, it's so beautiful, yeah.
And there is a funny sort of a sequel to that idea that you've never done a thing and you should not take credit for a thing. Because occasionally people trip over it and they say, oh, then I have to instantly stop seeking because I still have young children. I cannot afford stopping looking after them. Or I cannot afford stop worrying about the world, about the climate change. You know, if I stop worrying about, maybe everyone will stop worrying about it, and then nothing will change. Well, the misconception that the worry or that the mental activity, which is only a translation of the urges within the body, has anything to do with the way the world is run, is basically to be investigated and debunked, because that's bogus. You know, the idea that if I don't think I need to pee, then I will pee my pants, is the wrong idea. Look at the wildlife. The animals are looking after their children, even though they don't have a thought, I have to look after my children. This is instinctual behavior. They prepare for the night, or they prepare for the winter, even though they don't have a concept of a winter. We humans, we have symbolic language, which is absolutely wonderful capacity we have. And we have that, because it is a symbolic language, obviously it labels, it makes symbols, it makes words out of objects. It cannot really effectively label the non-conceptual or what's beyond words. You can say emptiness, you can say space, and the moment you think about it, it's kind of mental images created, so it doesn't really give it a justice. But still, those words are only translation of the urges. There was experiments conducted how the half a second commentary comes half a second after the chemistry of the body, the neurotransmitters and the chemicals already begin the action. Let's say if the action is to rise, move the arm, or to get out of the chair, there is a body already running the necessary actions, the blood, the pressure, and then the thought arises, I'm gonna get up. So the thought is only a translation. The thought, oh, this is my life, this is my decision whether I'll go to that toilet or no, this is my responsibility to worry about something or not. This is all autopilot. Worry is a pre-programmed automatic behavior that does absolutely nothing but translates the urges. And when the urges are actually investigated, when the commentary is investigated, the actions might or might not change, but the suffering will normally ease off. And now, if the energy now is channeled into the right action rather than wasted to the worry and dark scenarios and projections, well, what's more effective from the, like natural point of view? Look at the animals. Imagine the animal just fantasizing about being hungry all night rather than going for a hunt.
And now I have to go to the bathroom.
Oh, sorry.
Let's talk about weighing.
Highly suggestible.
And now, Christopher says, beautiful words about no right or wrong. Love this Rumi quotes also, that not this. And Catherine says, being under the shade of Bob's umbrella is bliss, love, and truth. Isn't it? Yep, it is. And Caroline says, just received your book, Bob. Thank you, and thank you to all of you. Oh, wonderful. I hope you're going to love it. It's a beautiful. Oopsie. We have 26 people there. You can give them that beautiful smile that you just given to me. And there will be probably a couple of hundred others on when we upload it. So yes, share that light. It's also just for those who are aware that Bob doesn't do individual calls anymore, and he doesn't really speak much on Zoom meetings. He participates because that energy of sharing, that energy of focusing on the source of all light, is so energizing and is so blissful that he just we cast the whole screen on the television, and he is delighting, basking. So if you want to join us on Zoom, you're probably gonna see him lying very relaxed, very comfortable, but present and aware. That's okay. okay.
What's left?
Awareness.
Silence.
Silence, yeah. Silence sings, I can hear from that corner.
I was just humming that Rumi song.
Mm.
Beyond ideas of right doing, beyond ideas of wrongdoing, there is a field, a beautiful field. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I love that. It's so beautiful, isn't it?
It is
And I was thinking about another song, but yeah, it's a bit old-fashioned, so I think I'll leave it. Yeah.
Bob's old-fashioned. Hey, old-fashioned? You're a dinosaur, aren't you?
That's what my son calls me. I go, hey, don't say that.
Tell her to speak for herself.
Not quite extinct yet.
Got a bit of life in me yet.
Oh, yes. Yes, and Bob has tons of love on love and light, and Christopher says, beautiful, just bathing in the energy of beingness, watching this, palpable. It is beautiful, isn't it? And thank you for contributing. Thank you everyone who contributes for contributing, because it is a shared feel of oneness. It is the oneness looking out through that multitude of eyes and hearing and resonating. Yeah, that it is a joy. It is a joy. It's a joy. It's a privilege. Yes. Mm. And give them that beautiful look too. Here, look at the camera. Beautiful, gentle look and a smile. Yes. And Peggy puts few hearts on it. And we did that before a couple of times, because there is a small group and because it is okay to even wrap it earlier if we want to. It's 10 minutes to go, and we don't really have to stretch it and repeat ourselves. If everyone is happy, we can just thank everyone again for hanging out with us. And
Thank you for inviting me to share.
thank you for coming. Thank you,
So lovely
everyone.
to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping us to keep that investigation going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And,
rocks.
Mhm.
and happy Christmas to everyone.
Oh,
whether
yeah.
you're a Christian or not, often you celebrate the holiday, accepting what is. And
Any excuse is good to have a party.
yeah, let's party. That's what
Celebrate
I say.
life.
Looking forward to it. Not that there's any me looking forward to anything, but
Look in.
I'm just having fun.
Look
Enjoying
in
what
forward.
is.
Yeah.
And
Enjoy
have a
in.
happy holiday, everyone,
Yeah.
and stay safe. Love you.
Yeah, love everyone, and thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.